Hey, hi, how you doing? This is Ryan, and welcome back to the Gamertron Show. So, a surprising amount of you have wanted me to make a video on and talk about the recent news that Overwatch 2 has cancelled its long-awaited PVE mode. Maybe it's because of the many videos I made criticizing Overwatch in the past, years ago. Maybe it's because you all know I'm a big fan of and major advocate for PVE video games and PVE in video games in general. Either way, here we are. Here's the video. Now, I'm not going to regurgitate all of the information that's easy to access to the public. You all already know hero missions and hero mode are scrapped, skill trees and individual hero progression is scrapped, and all that remains of Overwatch 2's PvE is the story campaign, which is now being broken up into story missions that will be drip-fed across the many future seasons of Overwatch 2. Now, as some of you may already know, my longtime subscribers in particular, one of my major criticisms of the original Overwatch was the lack of a story campaign, single player or co-op. It was a full-priced AAA video game that was multiplayer only and had less content compared to all the other big AAA first-person shooters that came out in 2016. And yet, despite that, Overwatch was many people's Game of the Year 2016, which in a year where Titanfall 2 and Doom 2016 released, still blows my mind. Anywho, I wasn't a fan of the lack of PvE in Overwatch. I wasn't a fan of how all of the game's advertising and marketing was showcasing a story that wasn't present in the game at all. It didn't exist. You have the whole backstory of this world and all these interesting characters, and it's solely just for advertising this multiplayer-only game that has no story? That's something that I must admit always rubbed me the wrong way. So when Overwatch 2 was announced, and the big draw, the big selling point was that Overwatch 2 would have an actual story campaign and a PvE game mode inspired by Left 4 Dead? Well, needless to say, I was not interested whatsoever, because quite frankly, I've been boycotting Activision Blizzard for years. I have no interest in giving my money to a company filled with rapists and individuals who are anti-human rights. Did we just forget about the whole Blitzchung Hong Kong incident? Oh, and let's not forget CEO of Activision Blizzard, Bobby Kotick, threatened to have his assistant killed. Why the fuck would I want to give my money or my time to this company? My life has been Activision Blizzard free for years. I've been boycotting them for years, and I'd like to think my life has been better for it. So when people ask me, Gamertron, Ryan, aren't you disappointed that Overwatch 2 PvE has been cancelled? I'm like, not really. Activision Blizzard is a morally reprehensible company, and I quite frankly want nothing to do with them. Also, quite frankly, there's so many other bigger and better games coming out this year. Who has time for Overwatch 2 PvE? For God's sakes, Remnant 2 is coming out this year. Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2 is coming out this year. Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon is coming out this year. Trepang 2 is coming out this year. Lords of the Fallen is coming out this year. Wayfinder is coming out this year. And Payday Free, supposedly, is coming out this year. If I'm looking for my next big PvE video game fix, there's plenty to choose from. That's on top of the live service video games that I already play that get frequent PvE content updates, like Destiny 2 and Warframe. And then we have all these other games that, while not live services, still get frequent PvE content updates, like Monster Hunter Rise and Deep Rock Galactic. Killing Floor 2 and Warhammer Vermintide 2, two games that still, after all these years, are still somehow getting content updates. Ladies and gentlemen, there is so much quality PvE video game content to consume. So the cancellation of Overwatch 2's PvE is no water off my back. I will, however, comment on this. Blizzard's decision to cut up the story campaign into story missions that they will drip feed into future seasons of Overwatch 2 over time is fucking ridiculous. That story campaign is done, you know it's done, I know it's done, there's no way in hell they haven't finished it after working on this for 3 to 4 years. That story campaign is done, and they could release the whole campaign if they wanted to in this upcoming Season 6 update, but they're not going to. Instead, Blizzard is going to make experiencing the whole story campaign as inconvenient as possible. The most likely scenario I see here is that Blizzard is going to release 1, 2, or maybe, just maybe, free story missions a season. And they'll keep releasing these story missions over the next several seasons in order to bolster their live service, until they eventually run out of story missions to add and the whole of Overwatch 2's originally intended story campaign is implemented into the game. But this'll probably take several months, if not upwards of a year. Oh, and of course, the final question remains. Will you have to pay for these story missions, or will they be added in for free? If you do have to pay for these story missions, how much will they cost? Honestly though, either way, I don't really care. I'm gonna be playing other games. Other games that don't treat me, the player, the consumer, like garbage. Now, I grant you all this. I understand, truly I do, I understand the disappointment of the wasted potential from the now cancelled Overwatch 2 PVE mode hero missions. This was supposed to revitalize the Overwatch franchise, the Overwatch brand, to attract more people to play the game, to attract those who have always been interested in Overwatch, who have always liked the characters and the world and the cinematic advertisements. And now that's basically dead and gone. What makes it even worse is that Blizzard could recover from this loss. Yet they still continue to fumble and make anti-consumer decisions. Instead of releasing the story campaign in bulk, in full, they're instead releasing the individual story missions over time, over seasons, as seasonal content updates. When quite frankly, there's no reasonable reason to do that. It's all being done for the sake of artificially bolstering their live service content drops. And yeah, it is a shame. Overwatch has always been an IP, always been a franchise with incredible potential, and yet Activision Blizzard squander it at every turn. So believe me, I understand the disappointment. And because of that understanding, it's why I recommend moving on and playing other video games. Quite frankly, there are many more PvE co-op and PvP multiplayer video games out there that are created by developers that actually respect your time and your money. Look at Capcom and all their recent releases. Look at From Software and their legendary catalog. Look at the immensely generous offering by developer Digital Extremes with their free-to-play game Warframe. Look at the absolute chads over at Ghost Ship Games with their beloved indie darling Deep Rock Galactic, which is one of the most pro-consumer video games that you can find on the market right now. Season 4, brand new big content update, is right around the corner. Oh, and Deep Rock Galactic's Battle Pass is completely free. Now, I could go on and on about all the spectacular PvE and PvP offerings available to you. All these other games that you could play and replace Overwatch 2 with and just have a better time with. But perhaps I'll save that for another video, because I think this one should come to an end. Anyways, that's been a video. Thank you for watching. If you did indeed like the video in any way, shape, or form, please be sure to hit the like button and leave a comment. And if you want to help out and support the video, then please share it on social media, Twitter, Reddit, and Facebook. And if you want to help out and support me directly in the work that I do, please consider making a donation here on YouTube by using the YouTube Super Thanks feature, or by donating by clicking on the links to my Buy Me a Coffee or Ko-Fi pages in the description down below. Anyways, once again, that's been a video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all later.